Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks a lot for being here again, or welcome if you're new. My name is Ella and I do videos on sewing historical costumes or historically inspired costumes, and don't expect the pro here. I am still learning, and yeah, let's get into today's video. I hope you're doing fine. So today I am going to show you how I assembled the kimono jacket for my 1913s evening gown that I am working on currently. Here you can see, first things first, I had to cut out all the pieces and I added about a centimeter to all the places where the pieces are going to be hemmed, because what I did for the mock-up was I just machine hemmed it. And for this time, I would like to have my hems rolled up twice. So I needed another centimeter to do a machine hem first, then fold it inwards again and do some whip stitches or herringbone stitches. And then I have marked all the information from my pattern onto the pieces, mainly taking notes where front and back of the sleeve bodice pieces are and where the underarm seam should end. And then I pinned the first hem around the armhole. I did clip this. I also clipped it when I turned it inwards a second time, but I didn't film it. But I did it. You will not see it, but I did it. Then I ironed the piece for the waist because there were some faults I did not notice before. I always forget to iron my fabric first, and yeah, then I also pinned the first machine hem there and ironed it down. So I started by just sewing down everything that I had just pinned, which is very easy. After I sewed the armhole hem, I also hemmed the other side of the bodice slash sleeve pieces, which would be the side that builds the neckline. And I did the same thing, I just folded it inwards. I did this by eye, it's about a centimeter, and then I sewed it down. Without ironing, of course, because yeah, I tend to forget. But I ironed it afterwards. I ironed the pieces and then I started turning it inwards one more time because I wanted to hand sew this down. Here you can see me demonstrating how not to do a whip stitch, because I don't know why I always need some time to get into this stitch and I always start at the wrong side. That is not comfortable to sew, so had to turn it around. Hello, it's the next morning and I have finished all the seams or hems that I was able to finish yesterday. So this waistband thing piece is finished with nice herringbone hems, so you don't really see the stitches from the outside. I love this, and the same goes for these two pieces. So what I am going to do now is I start assembling the jacket. First thing will be the underarm seams. I just did the arm seam of the first panel and I tested binding it with lace, which was a bit risky, but it worked. So I think I'm going to bind all the raw edges, the ones at the waistline and the underarm seam with lace. It seems to be the easiest, and bias binding would probably add too much bulk, so that's that. I think I'm going to iron it to one side later on and then whip stitch it down, at least this one, and maybe also the waist seam. So everything is nice and neatly finished. So now I'm going to show you what I did. So since I was not careful enough when I did my markings on my pattern for the ending point of the underarm seams, I had to compare the two pieces so the seam would be the same length on each side. Then afterwards I used a bit of lace that I had in my stash to bind it. Not ideal that it has scallops on one side, but with those hearts I am pretty sure that this would be a lace that I will not use anywhere else, so I decided to use it even though it has scallops and would be a bit difficult to sew down. And yeah, I just sewed it down on one side, turned it over, pinned it down again, and then sewed the other side. And that's basically it. Then I ironed the seam allowance to one side because I wanted to whip stitch the seam allowance down, so also pin it down. I ended up using herringbone stitches for the length, but for the edge I used some whip stitches, and the ones I'm doing there are not enough. I had to go in a second time because it started fraying, so I whip stitched the edge down one more time. And yeah, the rest was done using herringbone stitches. So yeah, this was a hand sewing intensive project, but I wanted it to look perfect. And then I started to attach the two sleeve/bodice pieces to the waistband. So I had to compare with the image and with the corset cover I made to have, I don't know how to explain, to have the same piece overlapping the others so it looks symmetrical. That's what I wanted to say. This seam was also bound with lace, and then I also ironed it to one side. I decided to iron the seam allowance upwards instead of downwards, which caused a problem where the sleeves, where the sleeve seam was, but I think it's better than if I had ironed it downwards, because then it would have added more bulk to my waist, which I did not want, so I ironed it upwards. So I'm almost done, with the exception of two things. It looks good. I'm very happy with that jacket. I did not expect it to come out like this and to like this costume as much as I do, but I think it's going into a good direction. So what did I not finish yet? I need to figure out something to attach the jacket to this thing here that is a little bit not ideal. I don't know, maybe I will have to go over this corset cover thing one more time. I'm not 100% happy with it, but yeah, I need to find a way to attach it there. Probably I'm going to add loops to the corset cover to loop it around the chemise, and then hooks and eyes to like hook in the sleeves, because this is basically off the shoulder and now it's just slipping off my shoulders. And I am also going to add hooks and eyes here, but I wanted to try it on first because I need to know where to place hooks and eyes, so that's what I'm going to do now. And then I'll go on with probably the lace part, because here you have those lace edges, and here there's a lace overskirt as well, so I still have to do that. And after that it's only the sash. I always took this thing and just wrapped it around to keep things in place and have an idea how it works, but it will start at my natural waist and be drafted upwards to get the fashionable, almost empire waistline. It's a nice illusion, emphasizing the real waist but also keeping the fashionable waistline. I like that. So that's up next. As you can see, I changed my plan. I decided to use snaps instead of hooks and eyes, because when I tried to place them, I noticed that probably a part of the hook would be visible, and even though it would have been covered by the sash anyways for aesthetic reasons, I decided to use snaps. So I sewed down snaps instead of hooks and eyes. Alright, I am finished. Closure is done. I added 2 snaps on each side. So that's done. Everything is finished at the inside where I had raw edges. The only thing that is still missing are hooks and eyes up there in case I want to add them. Well, I have to add them, I guess, but I'm going to do that at the end when I have the sash and everything, so I can place them at the perfect place. So for now, this is finished. I do have a decent amount of this fabric left over. It's several scraps, but they are decently sized, so maybe I will reuse it in another project and you see this fabric again because I really love it. Or I don't know, I have to see what I'm going to do with that. But yes, that's it for the jacket. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you're fine. I wish you a nice day, a nice evening, whatever time it is at your place, and I hope I see you in my next video. Bye!